follow me in this video as we make pre-compost. That way your worms will move through the bedding that you make faster and more quickly, and you can get your castings ready to go for your garden this spring. And with that, we have it sitting in a VermiBag Mini right here, and we've got the thermometer ready to go. So follow along and see how we make it. All right, here we go, making the pre-compost. The first thing we're going to add, of course, is some cardboard. And for this, I am still using the cardboard from my micro cut shredder. We're going to add a whole bunch of cardboard to this first. Probably could have used a slightly larger bucket. I think this was a 3-gallon. Probably could have used a 5-gallon bucket for how much we're going to be making. And as I said, this is going to go into our VermiBag Mini. So I haven't used this system in a while. I gave it out to some friends so that we could try composting with worms. And, well, they seem to like it, but at the same time, they weren't able to keep the system quite going. So with that, we're going to try something new, and we're going to be putting this in there. So all right, this is all dry bedding right now. We're going to go ahead and make a little hole in the center here. We're going to add a whole bunch of food, which is output from my FoodCycler, and I'll link to all this stuff, by the way. So I'll link to the FoodCycler videos. I'll link to my shredder video. We're going to put a whole bunch in here because we want a whole lot of food. This is a variety of food, by the way. There's bones in here. There's eggshells. There's veggies, fruits. This is not just one thing. We're going to add quite a bit this time. All right. There we go. Now we've got a good amount of food in here. Now the last thing we're going to need is water, but we're going to kind of mix this around first a little bit while it's dry. And the reason being is that I found that once it's wet, it kind of gets clumpy. So if we kind of make it where it's mixed up a little bit more and some of this stuff is a little bit more incorporated together, I'm hoping that maybe the food materials won't clump together because they'll be stuck to the cardboard, which will allow some air in. All right, with that, let's add some of our biochar. And this I do have a bucket of. So I'm going to bring the bucket right over here, and the biochar is sort of settled on the bottom here. So I got to scrape it out here. We're going to go ahead and add a whole bunch of this black, very nutritious water. Remember, biochar. Remember, this also has the fish waste in it as well. Although we're going to be adding more fish water to this as well. And this is going to be nice. And look at that. This really isn't all that much water. We're going to have to add a lot more water. So I've got a bucket of fish water right here. We're just going to go ahead and start dumping in. I'm not weighing any of this or anything like that. I don't believe in doing a lot of that stuff. This is, for anybody doing this at home, this is meant to just be for fun and to use your food waste. It shouldn't be exact science. This is not for, if you're looking for exact science for, say, you're doing something major, a major project or something, you might want to go to a different channel. I have looked at doing this as a real income. Wow, we're going to need a lot more water than that. This is fine. We've got plenty of water here. Going to go ahead and dump it all in. I've got more water in a bin over here. This is all the fish tank water that I have, though, I think. So now we got to mix all this up. Got to get all this incorporated. Get it all nice and wet. By the way, that was probably about 3 gallons of water that I added right there. And as you can see, there's still some water in the bottom, but this is going to soak up very quickly in this container here. There's a lot of material in here. Now once we get this into our VermiBag Mini, the one thing that we are going to do is I'm going to put in a compost thermometer so we can really monitor that temperature and see how it's doing. And we're going to need more water in here. And I'm going to use my sprayer for a little bit, I think, here, just so I can make sure that I can mix it as I'm going, because it's hard to do this one-handed. So let me just grab my sprayer. And I do like using a sprayer. Now this has regular water in it directly from the tap. You know, it's been sitting for a while though. But I do like using this because it just allows me to kind of get everything a little bit wet. And make sure I'm getting all the little sides down too. You can see this is already pretty moist now. It's really starting to spread around, this water. But I really want to make sure that they can drip out the bottom of the VermiBag Mini that I've got. And the reason being is because I already have it set up where there's going to be a busboy bin underneath it. I couldn't think it was not a 10-gallon tote this time, but a busboy bin to capture some of the water that's underneath. That'll run out, which is perfectly fine. All right. We're getting there. Next time I'll have to make sure I do a fresh harvest of water for my son's fish tank before I do this. So I have more fish tank water, but that's okay. This is dechlorinated water, by the way. It has been sitting for a while. It's not like this is fresh water right from the tap, which can have chlorine that could kill microbes and things like that. So you want to be really careful. If you have city water or something like that, you could actually be adding a lot of chlorine to this, which could kill off your bacteria. All right. All right, now we're starting to get some water buildup in the middle here. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. And what I'd like to do is probably add a little bit more. This is actually shrinking down a lot more than I thought it would. But look at this. We got tons of material here, but I really thought this bin would be a little bit more full. So we're going to go ahead and add some more food to this because I really wanted this to heat up. That's one thing I really want from this pre-compost material is for it to heat up really well. I'm just going to grab another, actually maybe a little bit more food than that even. Because I am going to actually start a whole bunch of bins because I have a couple friends that are requesting worms. And I really haven't been breeding worms to move them around to friends' houses. So I'm going to need to do that. And that's the purpose of this pre-compost, is that this should be really good for getting some of these. I'm adding some more biochar, just so you know. Get these worms to breed up a little bit more than what they have been. This is going to be the last of my biochar, it looks like. I'm going to have to make some more. So now as you can see, the biochar, not nearly as much moisture is coming out of this. It was actually a full bucket of water at one point, but we used quite a bit of it, and it's starting to run low. All right, we're going to need some more water now, so I'm going to go ahead and turn my sprayer back on. Get some more water in here. And get this food all soaking wet. And again, we're going to incorporate more of this paper in there. Now, the reason why I'm trying this also with the VermiBag Mini is I think it's going to be a perfect system for this. It's not overly big like the Urban Worm Bag or the VermiBag Max. And I think it's going to be small enough where I can kind of pull stuff from the bottom and use that in my systems, or pull it right from the top and use that in my systems. Just grab buckets at a time and then refill it. It'll be already inoculated, but it's also going to get a lot of air movement, which is going to be good. So, but first off, we've got to have our initial batch, and this is that initial batch. So we're adding a lot of water here to the system. Got to make sure everything's wet and moist. That's the only way it's going to actually work. If it's too dry, it's going to have all sorts of issues. Kind of rolling around the tray there. So this is on wheels here on the bottom. I don't think I locked it down. All right, I think this might be good. Just going to go ahead and let this put a little bit more in, and then we're going to move it around and see if this is good. All right, just pull my sleeve out of the way there. All right, this is pretty wet. I'm seeing some water build up in the corners. Man, that's going to be okay. As I said, I'm going to have a bucket or a tote busboy bin underneath the system to catch any extra water. All right, you know what? We might need a little bit more paper in here now. I think it might be a little bit too moist. So let's add just a little bit more paper here. Just like that. And we can go ahead and incorporate that in here. Some dry paper. It's going to help soak up a little bit of that extra moisture in the bottom. Now, in the bottom of the VermiBag Mini, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add, kind of make a false bottom like I do normally, and add a piece of cardboard down there to kind of elevate this a little bit, and then we're going to put our compost thermometer in through the top, and that should be good to go. All right, so this looks like we're gonna let this set for just a minute here, kind of soak up any moisture that's in the bottom. And then we're gonna go ahead and add this to our VermiBag Mini. All right, we'll be right back in a minute with the VermiBag Mini so we can go ahead and add this. All right, we're back here. I've got the VermiBag Mini right here. I put a piece of cardboard in the bottom just so it doesn't just cram into the bottom. That way there's a little bit of give on that bottom section right there. But also the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit of dry cardboard down there. We've got a lot of water in here that's sort of sitting. And this way there's just a little bit more of a barrier down there. This is probably, I don't know, oh, maybe a little bit more. About a gallon of bedding material. But not a lot, just enough to kind of keep everything off of the cardboard that's there, soak up a little bit of the extra liquid, and probably be just fine. Now with that, I also, remembering how this system has a mesh net right here, this is all mesh, I decided that I would also grab one of my pieces of bubble wrap to put on top to kind of add a barrier. So with that, let's start adding this in now. So I'm just going to bring this over to the other side like this, and we're just going to start dumping it in. As you can see, I can see water forming in that corner already. We're going to just go ahead and slowly just push all this in. This, by the way, weighs quite a bit. It's actually bending the plastic here. Just going to slowly, oops, don't want to get it on the netting there as much. There we go. Slowly get it in. Oh, dropped a little bit on the floor. Just like that. All right, almost done here. I'm just going to scrape this out with my gloves. This is where I might need to eventually move to a larger container for this, but I've been trying some different things. I'm not as familiar with doing this as some of the other people are. I know Jane from Rock and Worms, who I first saw doing this, and I saw a couple other people doing the same thing and following her lead. And this is just a great system for building up really healthy bedding material for your worms that's going to kind of be ready to go and ready for them to consume. Now this isn't that tall, believe it or not. I thought it'd be about up to a little higher, so we could have added a little bit more, but I would have needed more water also. Now, with that, I'm going to go ahead and take off my glove now. Put that off to the side, by the way. I do recommend wearing gloves. I really like these gloves right here. They feel really good on your hands. They're kind of cloth inside, but they're also plastic coated. And again, we're going to go ahead and put this piece of plastic on top right here. Now, the other thing I wanted to do, and I had it right here just a second ago, is I wanted to put in a compost thermometer and see what the temperatures are. So right now, if you can't see, I don't know if you can see or not, but it's 60 degrees in my basement here. So it's pretty chilly, but I want to see how warm this gets. Now, this is going to go all the way around, looking where the zipper goes. I got to push this into the center, and it's going to come right out the edge on this one side over here. I don't know if you can see that or not. And we'll see if this warms up as it goes. I'll share some videos as it's going and see how it warms up and how it does. Now I'm going to go ahead and close this off. Wow, this zipper is getting a little stuck here. I'm probably going to have to put some WD-40 or something on it to kind of loosen it up a little bit. And there we go. We've got that zipper as tight as we can. We got that thermometer in there. And now this is ready to go. So with that, you can check out some of my other videos of where I did a larger series of this in a 10-gallon tote. Or not 10-gallon tote, sorry, 10-gallon BN Link grow bag. I did pre-composting in there. Check out that video. And you can also check out some of my videos on the larger system for the VermiBag Max and the Urban Worm Bag. So with that, go check out those videos and come back if you have any questions.